going to be looking at the purpose of the panel is to look at the Occupy Wall Street movement, evaluate it, discuss its significance, or perhaps the lack thereof. Is this only a flash in the pan? Is it something that's going to go away as the weather gets colder, as people have, as you know, have suggested? And what does it mean for those of us here at Korbel? For the program, we have 4 speakers who will give some short presentations, no more than 10 minutes each. They've all been told that. And then we're going to open the floor to questions and answers and discussions. When you ask your questions, if you ask questions, if you feel the need to make a grand statement, I'm delighted to hear people's grand statements, but you have to keep it short and within a minute or two. For our speakers, we have 2 students and 2 faculty. I'm going to simply introduce them individually just by one sentence, really. And we're going to move from my left to my right. We'll start with Yvonne Varela. Yvonne is a second-year student here in the Master's Studies in International Studies with emphasis on comparative politics. And she is an Army veteran. I know her having been unfortunately, you take too many of my classes, so I know you altogether too well, from international law and human rights, international humanitarian law of armed conflict, and torture. So I've heard her opinion. I'm delighted to have her here. So Yvonne, why don't we start with you, and then move on.
Okay.
Oh yes. Then I can eat my lunch.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I am here presenting to you as a DU student and a fellow American citizen. Some of you are not from the United States, so I'm presenting to you as an American citizen. I'm not a liberal, I'm not conservative, I'm not party affiliated, but I vote. I'm going to talk to you about alternative media and social media, and also the power of physical presence. First off, before I go into that, I'm going to read something I hold dear. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. This is why I am involved with Occupy Wall Street. And it happened because as a DU student, I was taught to analyze knowledge and the origin of knowledge and what are the motives. And so here I was, I was watching mainstream media, CNN, Al Jazeera. I felt very worldly, I'm out in Al Jazeera and reading media in England and Australia. I was feeling very worldly. But it's not the same. It's mainstream media. I didn't understand that. And how I stumbled across the road that I took to alternate media was just by studying here in DU. And as I'm studying social problems and social movements, in particular the Middle East, I start turning all the causes and the factors affecting these areas towards the United States. And I start looking at our situation, my situation, and our situation as a society. And one of the things I have a grievance about are the super PAC laws, where corporations can contribute phenomenal amounts of money without disclosure. And because DU is such a good school, I was able to make the leap, the critical thinking leap that, wait a minute, if they're paying all this money to influence politicians, what about my vote? And then I looked at the Constitution, which I served in the military to protect and defend, and I saw a problem. So I continued to read all my mainstream media, and you know how, I don't know if you're familiar with Google, the main page, but you can subscribe to different bloggers, different reporters, different sources. And so I started creating this like custom newspaper for myself And I got involved with Anonymous. And you can choose within Anonymous to follow certain operations. Anonymous isn't an organization, it's an idea. And their idea is about promoting liberty, because in the internet, their consciousness is flowing freely. And I connected with this because of some of the political theory classes that I had taken. I thought this was pretty profound. Here is actually happening in the internet with this group, Anonymous. And so I joined, when I say join, I don't mean like I filled out a form. I just started following Operation Empire State Rebellion back in February. And they are against the Federal Reserve. And people within this movement, you can either want to completely dismantle the Fed or just want to have them audited or find out more about them. And so it's similar to Occupy Wall Street, where it's covering a large area, not specifically, we want to fire Ben Bernanke. And so I would meet people around the world in the internet relay chats using my Tor so that I could mask my IP, and started learning more about this movement. I started learning about other alternate forms of media, things like Revolutionary Magazine or Global Liberation Network. And of course, you have to discern for yourself what are their motives. You have to be careful. It's not like you want to just agree with everything. And this is what I was doing. I was being very picky about what I was reading or if I agreed with them or not. I wasn't just blindly, all of a sudden, I'm a revolutionary. So with this, I continued to follow alternate media. And in June, we started, we connected, we being the general group in the internet. And there's tens of thousands. We started Take the Square, we linked to Take the Square movement, which is connected to the Egyptian, the Middle Eastern and European movements. Take the Square meaning that they protest at the Capitol squares. And one of the messages that was put out, they put them out through YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, was we have to break through mainstream media. And we stopped calling it mainstream media. We started calling it corporate media. And we have to break through, and the way we're going to do this is, and this was global, just start generating media. Start making YouTube videos, start blogs. I started a blog, I started writing about Greece. And a lot of people, I suspect, were doing this because when I would Google these topics, the numbers were growing. They were calling for artists to start making flyers and pass them out on the street. They would make days where you go out and pass these flyers. So finally, when Adbusters posted that advertisement to go and occupy and bring a tent, I knew exactly what it was. We all knew exactly what was happening. And I watched Occupy Wall Street on Global Stream video feed and noticed that they were not showing it on corporate media. One day there was 2,000 people estimated, and it wasn't on the corporate media. For about a week, the United States, in my opinion, was in a type of corporate media blackout. I was Facebooking my friends about every hour or every 2 hours, telling the world, you're in a media blackout. And my friends who work in embassies around the world, or they don't, started saying, you know what? You are. Our countries are reporting Occupy Wall Street, and you're not. And so, real quickly, the power of your physical presence, I started monitoring what was happening within the United States with Occupy Wall Street, and noticed that Occupy Chicago started on Wednesday, after Occupy New York City. And it was a lady who showed up with her 5 friends. They made a YouTube video, and they were sleeping in sleeping bags against the Federal Reserve. And so I started Googling Occupy Denver, and on Saturday, I got a hit on Facebook. Some lady from Loveland, Colorado, posted, "Join us, Occupy Denver." So I grabbed my keys Saturday, 12, ran out the door, and I occupied with my physical presence. in front of the Capitol building with 20 other citizens. And we had hand-drawn signs. You couldn't even read them from cars. They were just in marker, like skinny marker. And we just stood there shouting, "Occupy Denver." And we occupied it. And with our Twitter, we connected to New York City and Chicago. And we were like, yay, yay, we connected to New York City. They're talking to us. And then we were like, okay, now what? Because the sun's going down and we have to go home to our children. What are we going to do? We have a commitment. And fortunately, one of the guys stayed there and slept on the sidewalk. And then we went back the next day. And it just continued until what it is today. So with alternate media and your physical presence, you can make a difference. But you have to physically be there. Thank you.